The easternmost of the Free Cities, Qohor, also known as the City of Sorcerers, was founded as a Valyrian lumber camp to extract timber from the forest of Qohor, but in time was settled by a sect of religious dissidents worshipping the infamous Black Goat, a dark god demanding daily blood sacrifices, requiring animals on normal days, criminals on holy days, and children of noblemen in times of crisis. A city of sorcery, the people of Qohor were said to practice divination, blood magic, and necromancy. After the doom of Valyria, the Dragon Lord Aurion rallied 30,000 soldiers from Qohor to declare himself the first emperor of Valyria before leading his army south to reconquer the Valyrian peninsula. Yet the Dragon Rider and his followers were never heard from again. During the century of blood that followed the destruction of Valyria, Qohor neared annihilation when they were targeted by a Dothraki Khalasar of 50,000, half of whom were braided warriors ready for battle. Easily defeating the mercenary army assembled to fight for Qohor, the only defenders remaining were 3,000 unsullied slave soldiers purchased from Astapor. Highly prized eunuchs trained all their lives for battle, the Unsullied did not feel pain and were renowned for their discipline. Even so, few could have expected those 3,000 footmen to repel an army of 25,000 mounted warriors, yet the Unsullied miraculously succeeded, repelling 18 charges while killing 12,000 of the enemy, including their leader Kaltemo and his sons. Defeated, the Horse Lords marched through the city gates and cut off their braids, throwing them to the ground as a symbol of surrender. Of the 3,000 Unsullied who fought that day, only 600 survived, but they so impressed the government and people, the city was thereafter permanently defended by an Unsullied army whose soldiers were given Dothraki braids to adorn their weapons. For many years, Qohor prospered as a trading hub between the Free Cities and the realms of the East, but after the Dothraki wiped out many of those realms, financial opportunities lessened. Yet they remained a wealthy city-state, trading with any and all they could, including the Dothraki capital of Vaes Dothrak, where they could find items from faraway lands like Yeti. Famous for their hunters, foresters, and artisans, their most prosperous industry was in selling timber to Celoris, Valisar, Volantheris, Volantis, and many others. They also produced great tapestries, wooden carvings, and were expert smiths, retaining the secret for how to rework Valyrian steel. Well-known figures from Qohor included Vargo Hoat, leader of the Brave Companions mercenary company, and Tobo Mott, a blacksmith hired by Tywin Lannister to reforge the Valyrian steel sword Ice, creating Widow's Wail and Oathkeeper. Once a wealthy Valyrian trading post, some claim the city of Pentos was founded by merchants, sailors, and farmers who owed allegiance to the freehold, while others say the settlement was founded before the Dragon Lords expanded west, but the people swore fealty to the Dragon Lords rather than attempt resistance. Whatever the case, the population mixed freely with the local Andal population, growing the city's influence until they controlled nearly the entire region of Andalos along the western coast. Gaining independence after the doom of Valyria, Pentos was originally ruled by a prince chosen from among 40 powerful noble families, but in time, power shifted to a council of wealthy magisters, who prioritized keeping the city a hub of trade and financial opportunities. Relegated to a largely ceremonial position, the prince presided over balls, feasts, and rituals, like his deflowering of 2 virgins at the beginning of each year, coupling with the Maiden of the Sea and fields to ensure prosperity in the months ahead. Though the prince lived a life of abject luxury, during times of crisis, he was sacrificed to appease the gods and a new prince was chosen. During the Century of Blood, they avoided catastrophe by paying generous tributes to several Dothraki Khalasars, and joined an alliance with the Free City Tyrosh to successfully resist Volantene expansion. Fighting several wars with Braavos to the north, Pentos was eventually subdued and forced to sign a peace agreement, heavily restricting their military capabilities to less than 20 warships, while unable to hire mercenaries. The treaty also outlawed slavery in Pentos, though the rich found ways around this, charging their workers outrageously for food, clothing, and shelter, creating more debt than they could ever earn through labor, leaving them no choice but to work for their master the rest of their lives. Trading heavily with realms near and far, some of their greatest partners were across the narrow sea in Westeros, developing cordial relations that eventually, to some degree, intertwined their politics, peoples, and cultures. Pentos even served as a temporary home for famous Westerosi like the future King Prince Maegor Targaryen and the father of 2 future kings Prince Daemon Targaryen. Producing pale amber wine, Pentoshi were also known to trade in spices like saffron, as well as peppers, cheese, gemstones, and dragonbone. Well-known figures from Pentos included Magister Illyrio Mopatis, a friend to Varys the Spider who advised various Westerosi kings, as well as the tattered prince who led the Windblown Mercenary Company. Further south along the western coast of Essos, the city of Myr prospered as a culture devoted to education and the arts, becoming one of the most advanced of the free cities. Though the region may have been populated by an ancient civilization in the past, it eventually became a walled Andal town until Valyrian adventurers conquered the region and established a trade hub. During the Century of Blood, Myr and its sister city Lys were conquered by Volantis, but eventually rebelled and with the aid of many allies won their freedom. Ruled by a conclave of magisters, Myr was home to some of the finest artisans in the world, producing exceptional glassware, tapestries, paintings, miniatures, fire wine, pale green nectar wine, thin stilettos, telescopes, carpets, blankets, screens, glasses, mirrors, lace, and a healing herb called Myrish fire. Some notable Myr and Lys figures included Thoros of Myr, a red priest pledged to the Brotherhood without banners, and Lady Sarala, wife of Lord Dennis Starklin, who many say encouraged her husband to rebel and imprisoned King Aerys II during the defiance of Duskendale. Founded as a resort destination for the wealthy nobles of the Valyrian freehold, Lys was a beautiful, sunny, fertile island teeming with palm and fruit trees. Over time, the settlement grew into a heavily populated and prosperous port city, specializing in the training of pleasure slaves, renowned far and wide for their pillow houses. Retaining the blood of old Valyria, the people of Lys were extremely beautiful, often producing children with silver gold hair and purple eyes. During the Century of Blood, Lys and its sister city Myr were conquered by Volantis, but eventually rebelled and with the aid of many allies won their freedom. Ruled by a conclave of magisters, Lys not only traded in pleasure slaves, but also red and white wines, fine tapestries, sweet perfumes, and fine long dirks, while also known to produce powerful poisons, including the Strangler and the Tears of Lys. Some well-known figures from Lys included the spy master Varys the Spider, the pirate Salador San, and all of House Rogaire, which for a time rose to prominence as owners of a wealthy bank who married one of their daughters to the future king of Westeros, Viserys II. A special thanks to all those who contribute to CivilizationEx, like Sir Xavier, Defender of the Flame, Delacruz the Freed, Lady J Book Nerd, and Edengruir, Spicy Sky Frugran. If you'd like to help the channel, be sure to give a like, leave a comment, subscribe, and click on the links below, or else go to patreon.com/CivilizationEx, where you can gain early access to videos, vote on future content, and watch the Patreon-only series, Heroes of Lore and Legend.